Welcome to the Spunky Spirit Podcast. I'm your host, psychic medium Carrie Mugz. This is where we learn all things spirit, everything from spiritual gifts, awakenings, ghosts, aliens, and starseeds. Nothing is untouchable, but always fun and spunky. I am honored to be on this spiritual journey with you, so make sure you hit the subscribe button so you never miss an episode.
Hello and welcome to this week's Spunky Spirit Podcast. I am Carrie Mugz, and this week I have a special guest. So I kept promising that I would bring on my husband because he has a couple of Bigfoot stories that are awesome and people keep telling me they want to hear them. So today I even sported the Bigfoot look. I have my big shirt, my Bigfoot shirt on and my Bigfoot hat on. So first I want to introduce him. He's awesome. We met about 15 years ago. And I have to say that when I first met Aaron, he was awesome at telling stories and making me feel comfortable. And he made me laugh. That was the biggest thing. And he was so adamant about telling everybody about this Bigfoot story or these Bigfoot things. And at first I was kind of like embarrassed, but then I was like, well, I'm a medium. So I knew we were going to be fine because I communicate with dead people, and he saw Bigfoot. So, honey, hello.
Hey, how we doing?
I love you. I love you. I'm so thankful.
I thought I was finally going to get to talk because
I'm so grateful that you're here to share your stories, even though they make me laugh a lot of times. So you totally believe in Bigfoot then?
I totally do. I mean, it's crazy. I mean, you got to talk. I mean, these stories they've happened a long time ago. I think the first one, I was probably 17, maybe 16, 17 years old.
But the crazy thing is they're still like they're still
pretty vivid. I mean, that's something I remember like it was just like yesterday. And then the other one, I was probably early 20s. So yeah.
Okay.
And then that's the last time
So ever since then, though, you've kind of had a big thing for Bigfoot.
Oh yeah.
You totally believe in him.
Yeah, definitely.
Totally. Yeah. Okay. So tell us. I think my favorite one is, tell us the one you want to tell us first. So tell us that one.
I'll tell the one that was when I was in my 20s because I was out on a date. So
I know this is my favorite because you were out on the Rexford bench.
Yeah, so I went up on the Rexford bench.
Okay, so just so everybody knows, that's where people go to make out, right?
Well, yeah.
Maybe 2 words.
That's what you call it.
Okay, go ahead.
So yeah, we went up to the Rexford bench. There's a nice little place you can pull off. By some spud cellars. It's a nice gravel area. And he's in my pickup, and so I just pull off to the side. And you know how I always tell a story to my kids, keep it a little bit, PG rated. So,
Which is me too.
So when I always we're talking, apparently when you talk a lot, the windows fog up a little bit and stuff like that. And so I'd roll the windows down just a little bit of a crack. And so we're talking a little bit more. And this girl I was with, she goes, "Did you hear that?" And I'm like, no, I didn't hear anything. She goes, "There's something outside." I'm like, "No, I think we're okay. I think it's fine." So, we kept talking and then she stops again. She goes, "There it is. There is something outside this pickup." And I'm like, "There is nothing out here." And so I did the typical, horror movie mistake. I roll my window down and I stick my head out the window and go, "See, there's nothing out here." And then instead of rolling it just a crack, I only rolled it up halfway. And, we started, talking again. And I heard something right by next to me. And I'm like, well, that's kind of weird. And I'm like, and I mean, there's probably something out here. Maybe there's somebody out here messing with us and stuff like that. So yeah, we probably should go. So, I had to turn the truck on, I had to let it defrost, because when you're doing a lot of talking.
Right.
It's pretty foggy for some.
I didn't know you had to let it defrost.
Right, you can't see. And so I can't drive away. So
I
got the windows all up, got it all defrosted. So, I'm kind of pointed this way. And so I'm going to come across onto the road and head back to town this way. And so right up out in front of us, out this way, is kind of like just a huge field and stuff like that. And so we get ready and I come around, and just as the pickup hits the field, just standing out, just right where my headlights probably would have ended, but just right where they kind of hit, stood a figure about over 7 feet tall, covered in hair, red eyes, just standing there. And
I was going to ask what color, if it had colored eyes.
Yeah, red eyes, and she is freaking out. I mean, she's crawling up, crying. We got to get out of here. And I'm like, just holy cow, I think that's Bigfoot. And, and I'm just trying to get this thing, because it's a manual stick. So I'm trying to get it without, popping the
'Cause
clutch
you're
and letting
freaking
it die.
out,
So I was freaking out. So I just spinning the tires, getting out of there, and got out of there as fast as we could. So, and then we just went straight back to our house, said goodnight, and we left, and that was it. And then we kind of talked about it later, but
So, and there's no possible way that it could have been like a bear, like
no bear or somebody out there, because we're way out there. There's like nobody out there. Just the way it was just weird how, she could hear it for a while and I could hear it for a while. And just when you see it in the headlights, there's just no doubt. I mean,
so did it like chase you, or did it just?
If it did,
you don't even know.
I didn't even know. Yeah, I didn't even look. I didn't even care. I just sped. Yeah, it was just out of there. So
that's so funny. So did you believe in Bigfoot? Oh, you did kind of believe.
I did, because at the earlier was a different way. We definitely didn't see it that time, but definitely heard and smelt it. So it was really interesting. This time we really didn't smell much, but I was.
This time was when you were younger.
This time I was younger, yeah. So I was more like 17 friends and stuff like that. So I'll kind of tell you that story. This is the story that kind of got me believing in that, kind of looking into stuff like that. And so, and other things about it, because I've had a lot of life experiences and stuff like that. That's made me kind of believe in this stuff. And
because you have a ghost. Did you
I have a ghost story.
Up in your house too?
I had a ghost in my house too. I grew up with, and when I was a kid living at my parents' house, there was a ghost there. My brothers would talk about it too. Just roamed the house, going up down the stairs.
So you kind of had
experiences. Could
you
see
kind
stuff.
of believed in it a
little
bit.
I've kind of believed in it all the time.
So what was the first story, the first one where you kind of encountered Bigfoot, but you didn't actually see it this time?
No, this
right?
time we didn't see it. So this is where it really got me thinking. Okay, there's some crazy things out here. There's more to the world than I think what meets the eye. And people kind of sometimes have their blinders on and don't. Some people want to, but there's other people that like to.
So I have to ask you a question before you start your thing. So some people say that Bigfoot chooses who gets to see him, like Bigfoot. And since you've seen, like, actually have encountered twice, do you think that there's and I, as a medium, I've never experienced Bigfoot that I know of. Do you think that there's truth in that? Do you think that there's truth in?
I think there's some little truth to that, because just all the experiences I've had in my entire life, with the ghosts and stuff. And with Bigfoot.
Oh, you've actually seen Skinwalkers.
And then you guys, Skinwalker. I've actually seen Skinwalker in real life. Probably from me to you, kind of Skinwalker close. So it was just crazy. And so I've had all these crazy things that happen to me. And then I meet you and get married to you, and then I have things that visit me all the time. And I just tell them I just kind of ignore them and tell them to go away.
So just to explain to my listeners, so before we moved into an office, the reason why we moved into an office, I used to do readings in my house, and we had a little room in the back to do readings in. And at nighttime, like sometimes the spirits will come the night before to visit, because they know there are people that are coming to get readings the next day are coming. So they'll stay. So our room would freeze all the time. It would be so cold. And he would have experiences at night with some of the ghosts, some of the spirits that were coming to visit others.
Oh yeah, I'd smell like perfume that I know she doesn't wear.
Remember that female one?
Yeah, the female one kept bugging me all night, dude.
You're like, Carrie, there's somebody here.
And I believe if they know you're not going to pay them attention, they kind of leave you alone. So that's kind of what I did. I just kind of ignored them, because I didn't,
Right.
Sometimes you just want to be bugged by them.
I know.
But anyway,
so
let's go back to Bigfoot.
Second. Yeah, your first interview.
So my first one, this is where, so it's, you're teenage boys. There was like three of us, and my friend's dad, he owns some. It's up way up, I think it's in Chalice, Yellowstone somewhere. It's crazy. I can't remember where it's at, but it's up in the mountains. He owns a claim, and really only way to get to it is his. It's gated, and so the only way to really get is 4-wheel drive. I mean, we're talking, this is a sketchy road.
Yeah.
And what he used this mine for, so it's kind of a mine claim kind of thing, and he's doing decorative rock, and so he's pretty much just doing rock for his house and some of the people in his family's houses. But I think then eventually he was going to turn into a business, but I don't know if it ever went anyway. But anyway, and he has this camp trailer that he parked up there, and because the roads are so bad, he pretty much leaves it up there. They can't move and stuff like that, so it stays up there year round and stuff. So he just winterizes. So anyway, he had this huge boulder, because they can't get cranes or big tractors up and stuff like that. So we had to makeshift this, pulley thing system that try to get this one boulder he wanted onto the trailer. And so he needed, so my friend needed us and another friend and the dad and him all together. Yeah, needed the help to, get this boulder. And so, so this is the first time we've been up there. And so we went up there, we just kind of messed around, and then we got ready for bed that night, and then we was going to do the boulder thing in the next morning. But so it's probably, teenage boys. I felt bad for my friend's dad. He probably is wanting to sleep, and we're just up talking. And it was probably 11:30, midnight. We're still just in the camper, and it's like August, so it's like hot. I mean, it's so hot.
Right.
So we have all the windows open in the camper, and we're just kind of talking and stuff. And then all of a sudden, out in the distance, it was like, I'd say like a young male voice, boy or whatever, teenage boy, just starts yelling. Just yells at us.
Really? Like, and you could tell it was male because a lot of times
It sounded human. It almost sounded human.
Yeah.
I mean, and then once we stopped talking to listen for it, it would stop. We're like, okay, that's kind of weird. And then we start talking a little bit. Did you guys hear that? We start talking to each other, and all of a sudden it'd go again, but this time it was closer. And then all of a sudden this smell, it was probably the most awful smell I've ever smelled in my entire life. I mean, you're talking, 2-week-old gym short bag that's never been opened.
They say that Bigfoot has a smell, but what I find interesting is that you didn't smell him the second time.
I know. The second time we never smelled him, which is kind of weird.
Crazy.
But this time, man, it was like wet dog, dead animal. It was the most, and it was so bad we could not breathe. It was almost to where you had to throw up. So we're closing all the, the windows in the camper, and it's so hot, but we still had to do it. And every time we would start talking, it would just start yelling. It got closer and closer. And then when we stopped to listen for it, it would quit. And it was just crazy. And we're like, there's no way anybody could be up here. There's no way. And so, so my friend's dad, he's kind of interesting, and he gets up, he's done with this, and he grabs his shotgun and he says, I'm coming after you. And he busts open the camper door and he runs out, and he hears something take off through the trees. And, again.
So you actually heard it take off?
Yeah, we had to take off. So we got up the next morning and went out, and you couldn't tell it was anything.
I was going to ask if you saw anything in the morning because we've never talked about that part. There was nothing.
There's nothing.
No tracks.
Yeah, there's no tracks, nothing. We couldn't find hair. We couldn't find broken branches. I mean, it was pretty thick up there too. I mean, it's a pretty thick thing until you get up on top of the mountain where the claim is, but where he's got the camper and stuff. I mean, it's thick trees, a lot of brush and stuff like that. And
That's
so,
crazy.
It made noise when it took off, but we went out, looked everywhere for footprints, anything like that. We couldn't find anything. Nothing. So we talked about it the whole day, as we're trying to,
What did the dad think? Did he say?
He wouldn't talk much about it. I don't think, I think he knew what it was, but
he was kind of scared.
You got to think this is back in what, like late 80s, early 90s.
Yeah. 80, oh yeah. 70s.
Yeah, late 80s, early 90s.
You are older than me. I mean, I'm older than you.
Yeah, you are older than me. Wow.
So I'm in the 70s. You're in the 80s.
No, I was born in the 70s too.
That's true.
Only 3 years different.
I know, only 3, wow. But still.
Okay. So anyway, yeah, I think he kept to himself a little bit. He doesn't want talk much about it, but we just talked about it the whole time, and we talked about it when we went back to school and stuff like that, and kind of left it there. And then I really didn't think much about it, but I kind of was interested, looked into him, things like that, and it was
yeah, that's actually pretty cool. So I wasn't going to bring this stuff up. We hadn't talked about it, but do you mind? I forgot. I didn't forget because it's like a big part of you, but do you mind talking a little bit about the skin? I mean, when you went on your...
Well, I got one more Bigfoot story I want to tell because...
Okay, tell the Bigfoot story. Then we talk about.
So my other friend, his brother-in-law lives out in Roberts, had a dairy out in the Roberts area, and I was kind of telling him my stories and stuff like that. So he said, well, I heard a story from a ranch hand that we just hired that used to work out in the Hamer area and used to, baling hay and stuff like that. And so his story goes, and I don't know how much, because I understand this is secondhand, so this is
right.
Not
this
me.
is the secondhand story.
This is secondhand,
so, right,
third hand, whatever you want to call it. This is,
but
that's just interesting.
You trust the source, right?
I trust the source, yeah, because he told me about, I told him about mine, so it's him telling me. So anyway, this kid, he's probably in his mid 20s, out there helping hauling hay, and he's doing it on a flatbed semi, and he pulls up into the field. So it's got done. It's kind of dusk. Sun's kind of just coming down. And he pulls into the field, check on things, check out the tractor, stuff like that, and he notices the tractor lights are on. He's like, well, that's kind of weird. So he pulls into the field, gets the truck up there next to the tractor, and the story goes that he sees this figure walking towards him, towards his truck. And I was, understand he's in the semi, so they're pretty tall. And this is how he explains that this figure starts walking towards him, and it walks up to the window of the semi, and it not even standing flat on the ground, not even standing on the running boards. It hits the window about chest level. So this thing can look right into the window. of the semi. And he explains that as soon as it came up to the window, it calls him by his full name and says, "Are you scared yet?" Well, so this kid's freaking out because, and he explains it's covered in hair, same thing, beat red eyes.
Called it by his name.
Yeah, that's the weird. I've never heard of that before. This is kind of a different one. Calling him by his full name, and it's covered in hair, smelled, all that kind of stuff that you hear normally, and it just taunted him the whole time. And so he's trying to get the semi backed up a little bit and turned around, and the whole time the thing's just kind of walking with him. And then as soon as he gets turned around and get up enough speed, the thing jumps up onto the running boards, just kind of hanging there and just sitting there calling him by name, and just kind of says, "Are you scared yet?" And he's just mad. He's just terrified. Anyway, he gets out of the field and he gets up onto the road, and he gets up. He said he figures he's got about 60, 65 miles an hour in that thing, and the thing jumps off and starts running alongside of him on all fours. And as the faster he went, it finally took off and headed off into the desert off. And he says the story goes that he drove directly to his boss's house, tells a story in tears, and says he quits and will never work out there again.
Right then.
Yep, and never work out there again.
So do you what do you feel? Or do you feel like, because we watch Bigfoot movies all the time.
Watch Bigfoot,
so,
we
watch. Do you feel like they're alien, or do you?
I think they are. I think there's no way they can disappear like that. I think there's portals around, or some way that they're able to move without being detected. I think there must be certain areas that they can move and transport themselves without being detected.
I kind of believe that too, because a lot of times when there's Bigfoot sightings, there's orbs or there's some sort of like sightings around too. So I kind of believe that too. And I've heard stories too where some are good and some are bad. I heard ones with red eyes aren't great, but some with yellow eyes are okay. They're like, right. So that's interesting. So what do you think you'll ever see one again?
I always hope not to, because I hope it's not to where it's familiar enough that he comes up and talks to me. But yeah, it's crazy, the experiences and some of the the other stories that I hear about. It's crazy that.
Well, and the thing that is crazy to me is you will so even when you start new jobs or you start when you meet new people, you'll tell the story.
I'll tell the story,
because it's not like you're embarrassed, because it actually, you tell it with such confidence that it actually happened. It's not like, and the story never deviates. It always is the same story. There's no change in it, right? But you've also had experiences with skinwalkers, which you kind of don't really like to talk about a lot because you feel like if it gives it attention.
Yeah, skinwalkers are different. That's a different kind of evil, and there's a lot of legends out there, and you hear a lot of things about skinwalkers and the different.
Well, you don't have to tell the story if you don't want to, but ironically, I do kind of want my listeners to know that it did happen on your mission.
I did. It was on my mission.
You were serving an LDS
mission out in Albuquerque, New Mexico. This was out in Tisnaspas, Arizona, which is just south of Four Corners. It's just a little town. They have a trading post right there on the Indian reservation, Navajos. And, when I first went out there, my mission president, the first thing he warned me about is skinwalkers.
Awesome thing, because if the mission president had to warn you about it, then it's
he's pretty much said, don't talk to him. He says they are very evil. They'll try and talk you into stuff. Talked about they could possess you and things like that. Their whole point, they like to tease missionaries. They like to tease the church people, stuff like that. In fact, the area I was going to actually had to be closed because just skinwalkers just messing around and stuff like that. And so they finally reopened it, and they sent me and my senior companion back out there to open the area back up. And so
the thing that interests me the most about that too is that a lot of people that you taught, or that you're the people that you visited during they totally believed in.
Oh, they totally, all of them believe out there, and they'll tell you stories. I have so many stories about skinwalkers out there.
So that would be like a whole nother podcast.
That'd be a whole nother podcast
episode.
But it is crazy, some of the things you hear out there and the things that happen on the Indian reservation, their true belief and stuff like that.
And it's interesting too that me and you are big fans of Skinwalker Ranch.
Yep.
And a lot of the stuff that happens at Skinwalker Ranch is exactly some of the stuff you went through or you experienced with Bigfoot and on your mission, correct?
Correct. Yeah.
Yeah.
There's a lot of stuff, and you talk about frequency and all that kinds of things. You talk about maybe I'm on a different frequency with some things. And,
yeah, like a different vibration.
And maybe they know that and they like to come check it out. But so warned about it. I think I'd been there in this area. We'll tell it real quick. It's in this area, and it was our P day. We'd probably been there maybe 2 weeks, something like that, and kind of known some of the members. And a lot of the kids, it was on our P day. They wanted to go play ball, so they have us area. It's kind of a subdivision that the government provides for Native Americans so they can live for free housing, stuff like that. Had a nice park and stuff like that. So we went there to go play basketball and kind of mess around, stuff like that. Anyway, we were there with the kids. We had to pick up, stuff like that. Took them down there. Was playing basketball, and also one of the kids noticed this wolf-like dog coming down the, so we're right here. So the playground, we're at the blacktops right here playing basketball. And then there's a road that goes out, and then we kind of go around this way and head out to the road. Well, there's a wolf-like dog. He notices, and this kid immediately says, that's a skinwalker. And all the other kids look, and they all start screaming.
It's crazy that they already knew.
They already knew. They knew who it was.
They knew.
And so, you get that, on the back of your neck, your hair stands, you knew something evil was coming.
Yeah.
And my companion, we all instantly, let's get the truck. So he jumps in the driver's seat. I jump in the back of the truck with all the kids, and they're just crying. I mean, they're freaking out because they, without a shadow of doubt,
they knew.
And they knew it's a skinwalker. And so this wolf-like dog, he starts coming towards the truck, and my companion gets it all going, and he gets it started and starts moving. Well, it comes around this side of the truck, and the weirdest thing is this thing just stared right at me. I mean, it just kept staring the whole way as it walked. And the kids, every time it got this side of the truck, they're moving over this side of the truck. And they're just trying to hold on to me to try to protect them. And anyway, he finally goes to the back of the truck as we get up speed and stuff like that, and it starts walking towards the truck and just kept walking. And if I hadn't seen it with my own eyes, I would not believe it to this day. But it started walking, and then all of a sudden it disappeared.
That's crazy.
I mean, I don't know where it went. It just all of a sudden,
was gone.
Yeah, it was gone.
It was completely gone.
And it was the craziest thing I've ever seen in my entire life. And they would never go back.
Do you remember when, I'm not going to mention which one, but do you remember when one of our sons had the experience of seeing a skinwalker?
Yeah.
Like it wasn't very far from our house even.
Yep.
And didn't he come like running in the house terrified and
Yep.
said that he saw and then he just saw this like wolf-like, and
Yep.
then all of a sudden it turned into
a human. Yeah.
Yeah. And he was terrified. Do you remember that?
Oh yeah. Yeah. They talk about, they shapeshift. They can turn into whatever animal. Most of them.
That's what they say on Skinwalker Ranches. They can shapeshift.
They choose different animals, and there's different legends out there that I was told about. And, they have every power. Satan is what they say. They can shapeshift. They can run as fast as they want. They can
Do you
the
think
animals.
that like there's good ones and bad ones?
No. There's no. I don't think that thing.
You don't think so?
I don't think there's anything good in that. Because some of the things I've heard about, it's crazy. Yeah. So.
Yeah, because I know like same stories on Skinwalker Ranch. They
Yep.
would see wolves, and then they would see wolves walking on their hind, like werewolves almost.
Yep.
Yeah.
Yep.
That's crazy. So that's awesome. So you think that? Well, I kind of hope. I mean, here's the thing. It's kind of a scary thing, but at the same time, I kind of hope we have, maybe not with skinwalkers, but I kind of hope me and you have more adventures like that.
Well, we have said we're going to do a lot more camping next year. So
I know, but I get scared because I don't want to, because you're a Bigfoot magnet. You're like a Bigfoot magnet. I remember I told you I didn't want to because I was afraid if we were by ourselves.
You said we're going to get abducted. That's what you said. Aliens are going to come visit or something.
We actually should make our own podcast
We
about
should.
all this stuff. It would probably be hilarious.
Probably more hilarious.
I would find stories to tell you, and you'd be like, "What the heck?" So,
Yep.
Well, I am so grateful that you came on. We've been planning this for a long time.
We have been. We've been talking about this so long,
and it's just been hard because we've been so busy with the last 3 months with redoing our house and the baby coming and the wedding, all that stuff.
Schedules,
crazy. So thank you for coming today.
You're welcome. Thank you for having me.
Hopefully we'll do this again.
Yeah,
we'll have more stuff.
I got so many stories. I got tons of stories. So,
and one last thing before you go. Do you think, just personalities aside, like marriage is marriage, but do you think that is it weird living with a medium sometimes? Like when I did do readings in the house.
No, I don't think so. I mean, it was kind of cool that how we met. I think everything was meant to be, and it was a higher plane to make sure we met. I met because I think with the backgrounds of me, Bigfoot and seeing ghosts, stuff like that, and you with your mediumship and stuff like that, I think it was just,
I had to have somebody who
believed. You had to have somebody that would believe in both, and so. No, it's been kind of cool. It's been really cool.
It's been cool experiences, huh? Like I don't really ever share the readings with you, but it's cool that it's some of the experiences that we've had.
Oh, we've had. So I got to tell one.
Okay, go ahead.
Remember the X-Files one? So me and Carrie grew up watching the X-Files back in the day, right? When we loved X-Files.
Yes.
We're like, and they decided to come out. Remember they decided to come out with new episodes, and so it's just us. I don't know how we got a night without any kids there.
Was I still doing readings in the house?
I think you were doing readings in the house. Mm-hmm. And so we went downstairs. We turned it on to watch some new episodes of the X-Files. And there was a hall light that's just past the entertainment center. And I went and turned it off, and I got sat down, and the X-File music came on. And we just got to sit down, and the X-File movie, that's the music came on, remember, and then also the hall light turned back on.
Mm-hmm.
And I looked at you and I'm like, well, that's kind of weird. So pause the TV, go back up, I turned the hall light back off, and I unpaused it. And as soon as I unpaused it, the hall light came back on. So I'm like, well, guess we're not watching this tonight. So we turned the lights back on, and we never went back, and we never watched it.
I know, because we listened to the signs, like we know. Yep. Yeah, I think too, we did have more activity in the house when I did readings in the house. Yes,
definitely.
Yeah, and that's kind of why we moved to. That's why we decided I had to get an office, because we were having too much paranormal activity in our house. Yep. So we moved my office, and now I do have to admit, when I come into my office every morning, or when I come in, I can feel the spirits that are waiting for the people. Like when you're in my office, can you kind of feel the vibe too? Yeah, you can feel it too. So it's way cool.
You probably go, oh, there's that guy that ignores us. So.
Probably, because I'm like, hi everybody.
Yeah,
and
you're like, hi everybody. And they're like, oh, here comes the grumpy old dude.
Oh my gosh, I love you. Thank you so much for coming on. And I'm sure that we're going to love this, and we'll do more.
Yeah, we'll do some more. Yep.
Okay. I love you guys, and I hope that you enjoyed this podcast episode. And if you did, please like and share it, and hit the subscribe button so you can share it with everybody, and share it with other people, because we want to help others, and we'd love to get our story out, or to help others. So see you guys next week.